Are we on the internet? Looks like we are. Hello again, it's Foghorn with another installment of Flight School Academics. For this, the 18th of January, 2955 or 2025 if you're stuck in the past. This presentation is part of an ongoing series of academics for the members of the Aurora Republic, the premier role-playing organization in Star Citizen. If you are new to the Aurora Republic or visiting for the very first time, let me start by saying welcome. Glad to have you with us. Love to hear more from you if you're interested in hearing more from us. We are a lawful good organization focused on roleplay, exploration, and social interaction. Are currently active in recruiting on Spectrum and Discord. Tonight we are going over the actor status system real quick as part of our beginning of the new year. Go back through all of the basics and dot the I's and cross the T's and all that sort of stuff. So actor status system, a couple of small things have changed since we talked about this this time last year. And basically the personal interaction menu has gone the way of the dinosaur because they've gotten the functionality of the MobiGlas up and running. So on your MobiGlas homepage, you will see all kinds of wonderful summarized dashboard type information. And you will find that in these two areas on the extreme right, you'll have your health information, quick summary of your health information. And in the bottom center, you'll see environmental information for the environment around you outside, whether or not you are just walking around on someplace you can breathe, or if you are someplace inside of a pressure suit, inside of a spacesuit, then it'll tell you what's outside that spacesuit. And those two things are your quick look summary information for what's going on. You can also go to the health page, which is the second button from the left on the new MobiGlas. And you will see that same type information presented in greater detail, along with listing of any sort of things like conditions and effects and active drugs on the left side in those left two columns that are currently blank on this example. The displays that are inside the red and yellow boxes here are the ones that will show up in your visor HUD when they become pertinent to you. So your visor HUD is a no news is good news. So if you don't see any of these things in your HUD, it means everything's okay. It means you got plenty of food, plenty of water, plenty of oxygen. You're not hot, you're not cold, you're not wounded, and all that sort of stuff. When one of those things become pertinent, then they will pop up and stack in the HUD. When, like I said, they display only when they're pertinent. So this display here that you see here is sort of all of them that are available, all shown at once. But they actually will only the ones that are, like I said, that are not sort of like maxed out. Everything's okay. No news is good news. Only the ones that are pertinent will pop up, and they will stack in the lower left corner of your visor as necessary, and they will reorder themselves depending on what is being shown. So for thirst, you'll see that it looks like droplets of water with a vertical bar graph to the right side of it and a digital readout at the bottom. The next one next to it is hunger. That's supposed to be like some sort of a leaf, and then you have two hexagons, one with Fe for iron and one with B1 for vitamin B1. So that's your vitamins and minerals. As you can tell, that's hunger. Again, with a vertical bar chart and digital readout underneath. Then you have a heart rate monitor that will show the little EKG graph. You know, the little comes in from the left, goes up, down, goes out to the right, trace, and your BPMs for your heart rate underneath. This is how Star Citizen simulates the stamina for you. So when you're just walking, even if you have the scroll wheel scrolled all the way forward, so you're at the fastest walk, which is actually sort of a light jog, that does not burn your stamina, but and your heart rate really won't increase. But if you hold down the left shift for sprint, then that will slowly start building your heart rate as you continuously do it without a break. And then when you get somewhere around 155, 160 beats per minute of a racing heart, that's when the game you'll start to notice that your character is starts slowing down because of because you're basically out of stamina when your heart rate gets that high. Okay. The next is the little silhouette of the man and the health plus sign with a circle on the far opposite. Those things actually will typically show up together. That's why I have them coming up or discussing them at the same time, even though they're separated out here on this particular display. The health bar over on the far right is, it has the medical plus symbol, is actually a round bar graph. It basically counts down from 100 in a clockwise fashion. It has a digital readout underneath showing how much, basically how many hit points you got left in your bode. If you have any sort of a persistent injury, then the silhouette will show up with these 6 body locations: head, torso, left arm, left leg, right leg. And wherever the persistent injury is, it will be highlighted with a leader line coming off and a number 1, 2, or 3, depending on what tier of injury it is, so that you know. So obviously, injuries tier 1, 2, and 3 are in descending order of criticality. So a tier 1 injury is the worst, and tier 3 is the most minor. If you have any persistent injuries, then the silhouette will show up, the little mannequin there. If you simply have some reduced health but no persisting injuries, then you will only get the health bar and not the silhouette, not the mannequin there. Persistent injuries will also reduce what the max health you can heal back up to until you get that persisting injury taken care of. The next is you get the 2 thermometers. The curved one on the left that looks like it's around a planet or moon, and the actual temperature gauge itself is curved around it. That is the external environmental and temperature around outside your suit. And then the one that has a man with a vertical thermometer next to it, that's your core body temperature. Both of them have digital readouts in centigrade down underneath. And you will notice that underneath the core body temperature, to the left of the numerical temperature readout, you will see a chevron that is either pointing up or down to show trend information on where your core body temperature is trending based on the temperature input from that external temperature. So obviously in this case, the guy is out in 228 degrees C, hot environment. That's probably over top of what his suit could handle, and therefore he's currently okay because he's at 36.6 degrees C, and therefore he's right in the normal range. But it does show that up caret saying that the trend is over time, this environment with the suit and armor configuration that you're currently wearing is going to start increasing your core body temperature over time. This is not a fast effect, but it does let you know which way it's trending. And then, of course, if you are using up suit oxygen, then that oxygen bottle, which in and of itself is also a vertical bar chart. So that content, that white content inside of the oxygen bottle will actually shrink down towards the bottom as the percentage counts down. If any of these things are going to end up in potentially lethal consequences at the end, then it'll also give you that survival estimate with an estimated time in hours, minutes, and seconds before you are likely to succumb to whatever it is that's causing that those status indications. So, and that does recalculate in somewhat real time. So as you start doing things, you'll see that number will go up and down and up and down and up and down as you like move around and stuff like that. So maybe you're in a cold environment and it's saying, hey, your survival element is 9 minutes and 53 seconds before you're going to succumb to the cold. But then you kick up and start running in full sprint, then you'll see that survival estimate will suddenly change and go up and say, no, it'll be 15 minutes because it's always based on an instantaneous measurement of what you're doing right this second. So, and there is a little bit of a lag built into that just to kind of simulate, the system's sensors and everything taking a minute to gonculate. Okay, so of all these things, let's talk about temperature. So the core body temperature, like I mentioned earlier, will be a function of the external environment temperature, but it also has some other factors that'll come into. First, you take the external environment temperature plus or minus the thermal protection of whatever suit and armors and things that you are wearing. And then also it takes into account plus or minus any physical exertion. So in a cold environment, you can stave off the cold a little bit longer in this game by running around and doing a bunch of like physical activity to help generate heat and keep heat up internally. Obviously, that's probably not a great idea if you're in the opposite situation in an extremely hot environment. Thermal hazards: hyperthermia when it's hot and hypothermia when it's cold. These thermal hazards are modeled in the game in the form of heat stress and heat stroke, shivering, and frostbite. As they get worse, it starts off with degrading your performance, and then it eventually can lead to death if not handled properly within a reasonable amount of time. So hypothermia effects, it starts with in a descending order of severity or ascending order of severity. So it'll start with vision abnormalities. These are actually modeled in the game. So you'll see for hyperthermia, you might see a little bit of like bloodshot sort of visual effects on your screen. Headaches, which is simulated by an audio effect, something sort of along the lines of a tinnitus simulation. And as your guy gets into severe dehydration, you'll notice that there's an increase in respiration. And eventually, as you're getting close to imminent death, you'll start hearing the death rattle, raspy breath sounds when your character is moving around and breathing. You'll start hearing that death rattle in their breath sound effects. For hypothermia, it's somewhat similar. There's first thing that'll start is shivering, which will impact aiming if you're using a weapon or something like that, because your character's hands will actually be shaking. That's actually modeled pretty well. Loss of vision, you'll start noticing like colors will desaturate and things will kind of the colors will move towards the sort of black and white spectrum as your guy is starting to succumb to cold. Loss of hearing, things will start sounding muffled. And then if you get down enough to the point that the game will start simulating frostbite, and you'll start taking first tier 3 frostbite injuries on your limbs, and which will then over time, if you're still exposed to the cold without change in status or any medical attention, then that will continue to get worse and worse and worse. And again, when you get to the time when just prior, when a certain death is imminent, they give you that warning with the raspy breath sounds. All right, so equipment has thermal protection, obviously, and anything that you hover over to get the whether you're looking in a store kiosk or if you're looking in your storage access terminal for anything that you hover over, there will be like basically the second block of information will have in the middle in the like fourth line down, it'll say temperature rating, which will give you a low end and a high end to give you the bookends of the range that particular item was designed to handle. And all of the armor and undersuits or clothing later, as they get clothing operable within the system as well, then all of that stuff is all taken into account. So you can take a suit that has a lower or less good temperature rating and put better armor over top of it, and you'll get the better effects of the better armor. If all of the armor has that better status level. They say that their intention, if they're not already doing, is to model this body part by body part. So if you have if you have chest piece and legs and helmet that have good thermal protection, but the arms not, then your arms will take damage at the appropriate level for that whatever the thermal protection of that is, even though your body and your leg and your head doesn't. So that is something to take into cross check if you're going into one of these extreme environments. All right, so nutrition and hydration. These basically give us buffs and debuffs in addition when you're not starving or thirsting to death. So if you don't eat regularly enough and you get into starvation effects, then the performance degradation starts with loss of vision, again, desaturation, cloudiness, blurry, and tunnel vision effects will start to show up on your screen. Loss of hearing, again, it'll go into the muffled region. Irregular heart rate and your stamina regen you will notice that you're not getting your stamina back as fast as you used to be, or maybe not even at all, depending on how far into the starvation effects you're coming. And eventually you will pass out. Right now, passing out is basically a death sentence because with the mechanics of the game at the moment, while we can body drag or tractor beam gun your body over to a med bed, we cannot turn the med bed on for you yet. That's something that's coming. But so right now, other than hopefully just hitting you with a med pen or a med gun long enough for you to be able to flop yourself into the med bed and hit go, or eat something really quick. Dehydration effects, similarly, vision abnormalities, the headache audio effect, which again, last time I heard it was kind of like it was simulated with sort of a tinnitus sound effect. Irregular heart rate, ragged breathing again, and for same thing, if you pass out from starvation or from thirst, then you're probably screwed. Our ability to help you right now is limited because we can't turn the med bed on. Nutritional ratings. So everything you eat has an NDR, a nutrition density rating, and everything you drink has a hydration efficacy index. Those things are basically just simple numbers of how much on the thirst and the hunger meter you're going to get back towards being full and well hydrated in that. So, if you're down at 30% and you drink something that has an HEI of 20, then you're going to get back up to 50 if you finish that entire container. So you can kind of plan how many of those things you're going to need to down to get yourself back up to 100%. That none of this means healthier per se. They are, even though it's called a nutrition density rating, it only really means just how filling it is, because the buffs and debuffs are coming here in the next slide. And I got the 4 air quotes flavors of cruise here because the Flow, Lux, Dark, and Pulse, because they actually have both the highest hydration efficacy index and a nutrition density rating for any combo thing. Straight water does have a higher HEI than cruise, but only by a little bit. But cruise, the cruise drinks have really high NDR and really high HEI, so they're kind of, if you're going out and stomping bunkers and running around exploring out on planets and moons and things, these are probably the best items to carry to handle both hunger and thirst. So all the nutritional effects, they're basically arranged in opposing pairs of buffs and debuffs centered on the same stat that is getting buffed or debuffed. They are hypertrophic and atrophic, and we'll go talk about what each one of these are individually in a sec. Energizing or fatiguing, cognitive boosting, cognitive impairing, hypometabolic or hypermetabolic, hydrating, dehydrating, and then healing versus toxic, and immune boosting versus immune suppressing. Those last 2 lines or 4 nutritional effects in the orange are not modeled in Star Citizen yet, but they are in the design documents and have been talked about. So those are to come in the future. So the hypertrophic and atrophic buff and debuff, the keywords that you'll see in the paragraph text about the item that has that nutritional effect, the keywords will be increases blood flow or reduces blood flow, And that means that it reduces or increases the stamina costs of exertion, such as sprinting or jumping. Energizing or fatiguing. The key words that you'll see is boosts energy or drains energy. This increases or decreases the stamina regen rate. The last two, the hypertrophic or atrophic, increases or decreases and increases the stamina cost for a single instance of an activity, such as jumping once. This increases or decreases the regen rate for the stamina. Cognitive boosting, cognitive impairing. The keywords are increased mental focus or decreases mental focus. And you'll notice that because it will reduce weapon sway or increase the weapon sway, depending on which one of these you are under the effects of. And you should be able to see what active effects and conditions you have on that health page on your MobiGlas. You'll also notice that it actually sharpens the graphics on the screen, so that to simulate you having heightened sharpened vision with this cognitive boosting, so that you can see into the dark corners on an FPS situation. Or it may cause visual abnormalities if it's the opposite one. Hypometabolic means it slows digestion. Hypermetabolic means it speeds up digestion. And those are those keywords. And that slows or speeds up the hunger decay rate. So how fast your character's body burns through the food and starts getting down into how fast that hunger meter goes down. Same thing for hydrating versus dehydrating, except for it's with water. So it increases water absorption or decreases water absorption, and it slows or speeds up that thirst decay rate. All right, healing versus toxic. The keywords are triggers a natural cell repair or harms the body internally. These are intended to be a small healing over time or damage over time buff or debuff. They are not in 4.0 yet. I don't know if they're going to come in 4.0, but they're not. They haven't come into Star Citizen yet. They've been talked about for years. And that toxic one, it may also be if the toxic levels get high enough in your character's bloodstream, that it may require medical attention if it gets too dangerous there. And then immune boosting and immune suppressing has helped the bodies fight harmful pathogens or hurts the body's ability to fight harmful pathogens. Pathogens is again something else that they have talked about and intend and is in their design documents, but pathogens have not been put into the game yet. Therefore, these two things are future tech. So last notes about all of this actor status stuff. Some of the most common missed items. Remember, you got to take your helmet off if you want to eat or drink. I think you'll get a notification across the top, after you are sitting there holding on to a Cruise Lux and you keep looking at it and trying to use it, and it won't use. You guys won't drink it, because you have your helmet on, most likely. Quickest way to check that is just to hit F4, a couple times and come from first person view into third person view and see if you got your helmet on, and then go back into first person view. You can, if for drinking, you can hold left click. If you just left click once, your dude or dudette will take the cap off, take one swig, put the cap back on. You can hold that left click to get them to continue drinking until you release it. And that's how you can chug the whole bottle in one go. If you don't want to goof around with that kind of stuff. And then the other thing is that you can store the packaged food or closed drinks in your personal inventory locations, like your backpack or the pockets in your armor core, stuff like that. If it's something that is open, fresh, like the burger, the Whammer's burger, the intention for that is that that's something you're going to eat right now. So you're not supposed to be able to put it into your inventory. However, we have seen that you actually can. So it used to be that you couldn't. I believe it's their intention that you're not supposed to be able to. So I believe this is a bug. But right now, last I checked, I was able to just go in and get a drink out of the bar, a highball, get a whiskey and whiskey and Coke, and just put the whole glass with the liquid in it in my backpack and take it out and drink it later, So That's not their intention, according to their design documents and according to all of the blah blah, unless they've changed something and haven't really talked about it much. But that's the intent. The intent is the packaged food and closed beverages and bottles and stuff like that can be stored in personal inventory slots, and the other stuff, like, just a open glass of juice or drink or alcohol or something, can't be stored, because obviously it would just spill and would be lost. Okay, that wraps up this installment of Academics Foghorn. Hope you found it interesting and helpful. If you have any questions I didn't answer, please feel free to contact me via email, Guild, Discord, Spectrum, or the comment section below. If you're watching this later, I'll answer it to the best of my ability as soon as I see it. Please hit those follow, subscribe buttons as appropriate. Comment your comments in the comments. And you can always find out more information about the Aurora Republic at aurorarepublic.space, or on the less bespoke Spectrum, robertspaceindustries.com/org/AuroraRep. See you next time. Foghorn signing off. Wishing you a very pleasant remainder of your afternoon, morning, and or evening. And I thank you so very much for watching.